Hey, what's happening? Hopefully you're doing well. Thanks so much for coming on by. What's wrong with my lights? Bueller. Oh my goodness. Not a fan. Okay. Stinking Elgato lights, man. I'm sick of them. I could do the exact same thing with dumb lights. I don't need the option to update their firmware, that's for sure. Okay, well, I am hearing my voice on YouTube. All right. Hey, and we can hear me right off the bat this time. It's not 20 minutes of figuring out why John's audio doesn't work, which has been the story over the last several shows, and for that I am extremely apologetic. So sorry. I don't know what as they say, what the smurf the problem is there, but as the kids say, that's an early 2000s joke, by the way. Family Guy joke. All right, so what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for popping on by and being in the chat right away. Look at you guys just talking in there. So Randy gets the first comment from Canada. Actually, both of you guys are in Canada. So the both of you that are chatting, I can't see my stats just because of the way that I have my window here. Here we go. Okay, so it's basically you two right now. But welcome. Always appreciate it. And thanks for coming along for the ride. Angus is here, of course. That's the other Canadian that's in the chat. Always a pleasure to have you along. He says, hey, I've got about a half an hour and then I've got a show starting. And yay, we can hear you. So that's excellent. Glad to see that we are successful on that front. All right, so lots has happened, and I'm going to get into JetKVM, but first we're going to do an update as to what's transpired over last week. So as many of you know, most of you live in North America that watch this at least live. We were hit by a large winter Arctic blast. I don't know what it is they ended up calling it, but it really hit Tennessee hard, and it's harder in Tennessee than the northern states, mostly because they don't know how to handle snow and ice because they don't get it that often, so they don't invest in things like plows and salt and all that. So not to say that there aren't plows, but I think that they came from Ohio and Kentucky, northern Kentucky, to come down and kind of salt roads. I did see some, but I know that they're not owned by Tennessee. I didn't think to look at the license plate. So anyway, we did see a salt truck yesterday driving through my little small town over here in Tennessee in Fairview. So that's something. They were salting the roads, which was great. Now, that was not the road they needed to be salting. They needed to be going down the back roads, which is most of Tennessee, because the main roads had been driven on and the snow had melted. Now, it is going up to 40 balmy degrees today, so we're going to see most of the ice and snow probably melt, and tomorrow's 38. So we're above freezing now. All good. Last Thursday, I did a show, and we talked about the Blackmagic audio monitor. So if you missed that show, after today's show, you can go and check that out. I'm a big fan of that audio monitor because it's big and visible and looks great. Sorry, got to get my headphone here. I'm sitting on it. Looks great. Sounds great. Has even little speakers if you want to check the audio. Not that you would use those for any sort of audio gauging, the onboard speakers, but it's a good little product. And so the Blackmagic audio monitor 12G Gen 3, G3, great little 1U device, and we're going to mount it right in the visual path of my audio engineer at the soundstage on Sunday morning, and hopefully he will enjoy using that. And so we walked through all the options there. After that show, the next day on Friday, I took my daughter to the dentist, and she had 12 teeth extracted. And she did way better than I ever would have for having 12 teeth pulled. And the reason she had 12 teeth pulled is because they're all her baby teeth, and she's now 12. And so 12 teeth for a 12-year-old. And they were not, actually the medical reason was that the new teeth, the adult teeth, were not pushing them out. They were not kind of eroding what happens is a tooth grows in behind one, and it ruins the roots, and it ruins all of the connections, and it just kind of pushes that tooth out. Her teeth were coming in like shark teeth, and so the baby teeth were there, and then her adult teeth were coming up behind, and it was causing a real problem. So she had her dental appointment and had some decent meds, and that seemed to go just fine. And then the recovery, when the meds were wearing off, she said it wasn't very painful. So that's good. That's good news, because I've had bad dental experiences in my life, and she's fortunate. So anyway, Friday then, we were preparing for this snowpocalypse, and we also had my daughter's dental appointment. So that was kind of what Friday's focus was. Saturday then, the poor weather moved in, and then we lost power early Sunday morning around like 6 o'clock or something like that. And then we had pre-scheduled and pre-recorded our stuff for Sunday, and so that went off via automation without any need for us to do anything. It was nice. But then we fired up the generator, and we watched that live stream pre-record, and then went into the weekend and kind of dealt with power. So we ran the generator for 4 hours at a time. And on Sunday night, Sunday night or Monday night, one of the nights that we were out for basically 3 days. One of the nights I got up in the night because it was getting quite cold, and I ran the generator. Now we have a gas fireplace, so that turns on without power. And it just has a little pilot light, and you just open the gas valve and it lights up. So we ran that before bed. The kids slept downstairs in the living room instead of up here. And then, so we ran that, and then they went off to bed. I woke up in the night and stayed up for an hour and a half, ran the fireplace again to kind of heat up the house, and I ran the generator for an hour. So that got fans moving and whatever. So the generator powers a lot of stuff, gives me internet. It could actually power this whole room if I wanted to, just for work's sake. But anyways, yeah, so that was great. That worked fine. But we definitely were without power for a couple of days. And then it came back on. I was on the phone with my friend. What is today? Thursday? So Tuesday afternoon, my friend called, and he was at the store walking around trying to warm up his family. And then while I was on the phone with him that afternoon, our power came on. So then the furnace kicked on. The house went up to 73 degrees, and we were in good shape. So that was great. So that was basically last week, and I was able to get my work done. If we get the generator on, then we have internet, we have power, we have electricity, we can eat, the fridges will cool down, all that stuff. So not a huge deal for us. I've got 3 big trees down on my property that I'm going to have my coworker come over with his chainsaw and help me cut up into firewood, because that's all I can do with him at this point. So waiting for the ice to melt and for us to be able to get out there and work on those, but that's going to be a day's worth of work more than likely. So here we go. We're back up and running. Power's back on. The kids were off yesterday. My daughter turned 12 yesterday, so it was her birthday. So we spent part of the day doing birthday stuff. And here we are on Thursday, back up and running as if nothing ever happened. So kids are back at school. They had a late start today, and then they'll have a regular start tomorrow. But my wife says the roads are good where she is, which is in Franklin, Tennessee, and she's back to work. So off they go. Let me catch up here with, hey, what's going on, Nick? Nick Lemansky checking in. Arctic Blast fair. The grocery stores are still cleared out here, but that has been interesting. Yeah, I don't understand. So we knew it was coming, and we did a small grocery run before on Friday because we knew that stuff was coming. But we got a handful of things, and I was like, we're gonna be fine until next weekend. We have meat in the freezer, and we have cereal and whatever. So as long as I can get gas, then we should be fine. The generator, we could go for a week if we had to. We noticed on the Facebook groups for our town that people were saying this has only happened once in 30 years, and the last time it was this bad, it was in 94. So that's 30 years ago, which is insane. That 94 is 30 years ago. But yeah, that was the last time something this big has hit Tennessee. So everybody, like, since I moved here, it seems like the Tennesseans are like, this isn't normal. You know, like we had a really bad tornado season last year, and one went kind of the remnants of a tornado that went over top of my house. And they're like, this is not normal. It's like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. And I'm like, well, there's been 2 once-in-a-lifetime things that have happened since I moved here. I've only been here for a year and a half, so I think we're good now for a while. Usually keeping the furnace on is not the thing that you have to worry about in Tennessee. It's usually keeping the air conditioning on, which are huge double breakers. They're like double 30 pole, 30 amp double pole breakers in my box outside. That's the air conditioning. Whereas, I don't really, anyway, it's been an adventure since we moved down here, and I'm hoping that we're done with the really extreme weather. It's okay. Like, tornado season happens every spring. Everybody seems to be okay with it around here. All the locals are like, yeah, it's just how we do. My wife said something interesting. She said, the locals here react to tornado season the way that Michiganders react to snow season. It's like, we're just going to deal with it. We're just going to get the shovels out. I had a snow throwing machine like that attached to the front of my John Deere tractor, and it was a Burco snow thrower. I did a show on it a long time ago, but if you don't know what that is, Google it. It's a Burco snow thrower. It's this huge Canadian, like, giant auger that basically can chew up any depth of snow that you throw at it, and will throw it 30 feet over onto your lawn or your neighbor's lawn. So it was a real heavy duty guy. I had that, and I regret, I don't have any snow here to use it or validate keeping it, so it was good to kind of move it along. But man, that thing was awesome, because you get that thing going and churning, and it would clear out your driveway in 20 minutes. Our driveway was pretty long and pretty wide, and so it would clear it out pretty fast. It was great. Anyway, good times. So what's going on, Nick? Good to see you. Hey, trees down. Randy is getting on to topic here for today's show, which I'm pretty excited about. But he said, hey, I got a JetKVM, and I neglected to get the PC board for remote power on or off, which is sad. The other thing that it doesn't do is, the only thing that it does is 1920 by 1080, which is sad because my monitors are all 2K. When I use Windows, I could jimmy rig a solution, but now that I use Linux, my pseudo solution doesn't really work. But in a server environment, or servers, or most other computers, it's fine. I'm going to be listening while I drive to work. I'm not watching, so you'll have to speak up. All right, well, appreciate you jumping on, even while you drive to work. Keep your eyes on the road. Always a pleasure to have you, Randy. We upgraded to Angus says, we upgraded to a heat pump last year. It gives us air conditioning and heat down to -7. Below that, we have 2 stages of gas heat. Right on. See, in Edmonton, I feel like that's appropriate. Yeah, so we're cool, we're warm. There's no issues anymore, and we fared pretty well. Our feet were cold, but I actually went down into the basement, the crawl space under the house, on the day where it kind of dipped below, where everybody was like, keep your pipes, like, turn off your water and open the pipes, or put them on a slow drip, or yada yada. I went under there, and it was pretty warm, so I wasn't worried about my PEX pipes freezing. And by the way, PEX also has a higher tolerance than copper. So if you have recently redone, or if you have a house that has PEX piping, again, you do need to worry about it, but not as much as we used to worry about with copper piping. So these new houses are kind of nice for that. Hey, that Burco looks like a beast of a machine. I got tired of always having trouble with snowblower engines, so I bought a Ryobi electric 2-stage snowblower, and I absolutely love it. Yeah, the Burco is a monster. Snow thrower. Man, this thing is this thing was so massive. Let's see if I can pull this up here real quick. Yeah, this is what I had. And are we okay? Let's share my screen. Outputs. Here I am. All right, so yoink. This thing is what I had, and I've got it muted here, but that's cool. He's mounted it to his ATV. That's basically what I was running behind a tractor, and look at that. It's so stinking awesome. Oh, whoops, sorry everybody. I was meant to do this. Yes, that is basically how fast you can roll, and you need to be 100% positive that there's nothing, no toys or anything in front of you, because that thing will destroy anything. It'll just chew it right up. And then there's usually, like on the mower, there was a handle that I would turn, and then it would turn the head of the things, because inevitably you're going to be plowing snow and wind, and so if you point in the wrong way, you're going to get a face full of snow. So you gotta, that's smart. On an ATV, you could just lift it up and roll right back, and then just go in the same direction. That's cool. But yes, that was the thing I had. And my dad, I actually bought it off of my dad when he moved, because he had a house in the country, and so it was an amazing investment. I loved it, and it worked great. So good times. I do miss that. That snow thrower. It was great. The city did snow removal on our streets yesterday. We had giant berms on both sides of the road. They plowed everything into the middle of the street and used ... a giant wheel-loaded mounter snowblower to blow it up into dump trucks. Oh, wow. It's like the Burko, but it probably needed 300 horsepower instead of 20. Yeah, that, if you live in the snow, you're going to have a solution, because you can't shut your city down until the snow goes away, because it's going to be around for months on end, right? So in Tennessee, they just shut down. They go on to social medias and the radio, and they just say, don't leave your house. Don't go on the road unless it's an emergency. Don't go out because the roads are not safe. Just stay inside. And so that's what we did. Matter of fact, the kids got the sleds out and found small hills around the house, because we live in Tennessee, and figured out how to go sledding. And so my daughter had a birthday yesterday, and they spent part of the day sledding on the hill between our two houses, my neighbor's house and mine. And my neighbor's grandkids came outside, and they had a good time for like an hour and a half or 2 hours. It was awesome. So good times. That was a good birthday, that's for sure. All right, so today I want to get into what it is we want to talk about, because we're almost 20 minutes into the show, and I think that's a good amount of time. I'm glad that you're able to join us, regardless of hopefully your Arctic blast didn't do too much damage in your neck of the woods. I do have some photos I guess I could show of the damage around the house. And let's just take a look. I lost three major trees on my property. Actually, my wife went outside and was like, whoa, that tree is like bending right over. And then 5 minutes later, it fell over. And they didn't snap. Actually, the root system ripped out, which is the main problem in Tennessee, because it's so rocky. That large tree root systems are pretty shallow. This property where I live used to be a forest. And there is still forest behind us, but they kind of cleared out the front and left some trees. Well, in a forest, when an ice storm happens, trees that are together can kind of lean on each other, disperse the weight. There are different ways that all happens. But when you rip them all out, or you mow them all down, you just leave a few. Then when storms come through, heavy winds, all that stuff, that one tree or those 4 trees that you left are going to take the brunt of all of that. So that's pretty rough. Okay, so this is our backyard. Let me jump over here. This is our backyard. And you can see this tree is leaning a fair bit. It does lean a little bit, but not that much. So that tree started to go over mid-afternoon. We did have a few branches down that afternoon. This is a large pine tree that's in behind my new shop, and it was dropping big branches all day Sunday and Monday. And then my wife went out to the front yard and found this tree. Basically, I don't know. Look at that. It's like bowed like a bow and arrow practically. And then the next photo, I believe, the next photo is the root system had given up, and so now it's laying on the ground like that. Those two pictures are, I don't know, 10 minutes apart, 5 minutes apart. So that's sad because that tree was pretty healthy. So it's sad to lose nice trees like that, but he did go. And then that one in the backyard, here's another shot of that tree. You can see that root system is just ripped right up. It's crazy. And then that tree in the backyard, it came down, and when it came down, it also took out another tree that was in behind it here. So there was a tree here that was kind of leaning over, and then when this one came down, it took that out, and this tree is snapped in half. So there's a tree back here. I don't know if you can see my mouse. That tree is snapped in half now. So this tree fell down perfectly. If it was going to fall down, and it was actually scheduled to come down because it was the base was kind of rotting out. This tree came down perfectly between my new neighbor's house. This house isn't lived in yet. It's being built. Between my new neighbor's house and my house, but also between, I put these like little giants, which are probably dead, but I put these little giants in here. They're like giant arborvitaes, and hopefully they will grow to be like 9 feet tall. Well, this thing missed all of them. It landed right between them. So if they survive this massive freeze, then that's perfect, because I had 6 or 7 of these little guys that I planted last year that are still there. So anyway, that was a doozy of so we lost those 2 trees in the front and that tree that it took out as well. Those are the 3 trees. And then some big branches. Let me see. Yeah, this is the front of my house, and there's my neighbor has a tree that still looks like this, but we shall see when the ice melts, if it comes back. You can see they lost some big branches. So, but yeah, just a branch here. There's that tree in the front that fell. The top of this tree has been sheared off somehow, so I'm sure that tree's gone. But yeah. So and this was the hill that my kids were sliding on. They'd go up to my neighbor's yard, and then they'd take a running start, and they'd slide down into the driveway. So, good times. They were having fun. They also have a conveyor belt machine, which has a lot less violent than the giant snowblowers. We were able to sled on our 4-acre detention pond. Some of my dads were able to glide 100 yards. Oh, my goodness. Some of the dads were able to go 100 yards. Wow, that's crazy. Well, that's fun. You're out on the East Coast, right, Nick? Also, so I didn't get very much work done on the garage. Although after last week's show, let's see, Friday, I've got pictures of my daughter at the doctor, and I showed you my injury from last week. So I did the third wall last week in the barn. So this is that third wall going up, and there it is in position and nailed to use those little Remington guys to nail it into the concrete, create my third wall, my recording studio. So that is coming along. It's moving swiftly. Next question will be doors and this door wall and how to get all that to work perfectly. So we shall see. We shall see. It's going to be a big undertaking. I think I've decided on doing a false wall in the recording studio. So doing another maybe studded wall and mount it to this one, and then mount my electrical boxes to that. So probably do 2 or 3 sheets of drywall on the studio, and then another false wall in front of it, and do another sheet or 2 of drywall and mount all of my boxes and everything on there. And then it might be fabric. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking out loud here right now. Might be fabric. It might be drywall. I don't know yet. Drywall is the best when it comes to like mass, because the thing about audio transmission with a recording studio is the thicker the walls, the better. And so if you do one sheet of drywall, that's okay. If you do 2 sheets of drywall, that's better. If you do 3 sheets of drywall, that's kind of like best. Every sheet of drywall, you lose about 7 decibels of sound. And so if you're getting like a 45 rating inside 1 sheet of drywall, then you might get a 52 with 2 sheets of drywall, and then you might be close to 60 if you do 3, and so on and so on and so on. And so you're really going to top out in the 60s somewhere. But it beats mass-loaded vinyl because that stuff is fine, but it's only like a 3 decibel return, and it's super heavy. It's hard to put up. You might as well just zip another load of drywall on there. So I don't know what the perfect solution is, but I think a fake, even like a 1x1 wall, and then mount my boxes to that, and then do foam and fabric. That might be the easiest way, and then I don't have to go through my drywall with my wiring. I can just you do have to go through it somehow to get, but you can do a channel or something like that where you can pull cable, do a 1-inch PVC, and then fill the PVC with acoustic sealant on both sides, and that would help. So anyway, I'm thinking out loud, and that's the project so far. Coming along. I haven't done anything this week on it just because of the storm that came through, but I did pull, as you guys know, I'm running fiber into this room and into that box in particular, and so right here. So that's the fiber conduit that comes over here from the wall, and then there'll be actual PVC, 1-inch PVC conduit that comes from the house. In through the crawl space and up into the wall of the office right here at the bottom, and then, or on this side actually, it'll come in here, and then from there we will attach it to a box, much like the one that you see there in the picture, and then terminate. Travel through, probably put a few service loops in that box, and then go up into the fiber conduit, and then I'll just do keystone connections there for fiber, and then I'll run a fiber patch into whatever it is that I'm going to use as my receiving end of the fiber. So fun stuff. So it's coming along. It's not the prettiest right now. It's pretty messy, but it's coming along. Okay, so I keep saying let's talk about our topic here today, and then I get off on tangents. I recently invested in something called a JetKVM. A couple of weeks ago, I ordered one. A week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago now, I ordered one, and it arrived right before it arrived on Wednesday of last week. And so I plugged it in and was very surprised at how easy it was to set up. Literally plug it into USB-C to the computer that you want to KVM into, and plug the HDMI cable from that computer into the KVM, and then plug an Ethernet cable into it. The device itself is set to DHCP, and so it will take whatever address that it is assigned, which means that you can go in and, as a good networking person would do, assign a DHCP address inside the reservation list, so that never changes, which is very important to do, because yes, you can go into the device and set it locally as a static address, but you have far more flexibility and control if you set it inside of your router. And so I logged into my TP-Link system. I have kind of the Omeda ecosystem in this house, which works just fine because I'm not doing video over that. I'm not doing NDI or Dante over that. And so I plug it in, go into my router, assign it an IP address under the reservation list, and then reboot the device. And it came right up with the address that I assigned it. And you want to assign it something unique, or maybe in a range or somehow, because if you buy more than one, you're going to want to remember somehow, which is which. So it's a very simple product. Now, what is KVM? So if you're not familiar with this side, if you're new to the channel, or if you've not, if you're kind of new to technology, or you're just interested in something like this, a KVM is a device that can control okay, that can control a computer and in most instances make a computer headless. What that means is that you don't have a monitor for it, okay? You can remote into it and it behaves just like a computer. You can visually see what you need. This would be extremely helpful for things like Raspberry Pis. Maybe you have one set up where you need to access Raspberry Pis, but so you have a little station where you plug it in, and then you can look at the KVM. Back in the day, like when I worked for a university back in the early 2010s, we had a KVM, actually, and when I was a student, so that would have been early 2000. We had a KVM that was mounted underneath, and this was a VGA KVM, because we were using, it was basically a video switch, but we had a keyboard and a mouse and a monitor. And those were plugged into the KVM. And then we had a whole bunch of computers on a workbench that we were imaging or servicing or maintaining or cleaning up or reformatting or whatever it was that we were doing, installing RAM, back when you did that stuff. You would plug in we had like these stations, and at each station was a USB and a VGA. And you'd plug in the VGA to the video card, and you'd plug in the USB to the computer. You'd power up the computer, and you'd press the corresponding station number. And then that computer would show up on the screen, and you could control it with the mouse and the keyboard. It was pretty standard stuff. Ethernet as well was a part of that dongle set that you plug into the computer. So it's pretty standard stuff, but it was a convenient way. Then you'd kind of set up the image and get it going, and then you could go to the next one. And we had 8 stations, and I think 7 of them were usable in that fashion. So that was an old school KVM where you had the ability to plug in multiple computers to a single interface, and then you'd have access to each of those computers via keyboard and mouse and monitor. Really kind of a cool idea. Well, anymore, KVMs are usually set up now to service servers or headless computers, and it comes with its trade-offs and inconveniences. But in this instance, what JetKVM does is it allows you to connect a computer. So USB-C. Actually, it's USB-C to USB-A, which is interesting. But I'm assuming you could trade out that cable for a C to C. USB-C into and HDMI, and that basically turns the computer into you can go on any other computer and punch in the IP address on your web browser, and you can view it. And so and control it. So it's a really convenient way if you don't have a bunch of monitors. Okay, so in this office I'm looking at 6 monitors right now, and it's a little overkill, to say the least. Actually, what I would really like is the ability to kind of eliminate at least that monitor, which is up top, which is the traditional monitor that I was using for my Mac Mini for work and for my second computer, my NDI machine. So my old vMix machine, which is now strictly for NDI generation. So now that screen, in theory, could be eliminated because I could add a KVM to allow me to just go to a web browser and look at control the computer directly from there. Now, I was using Google Chrome Remote, which is a similar program that allows you to install Chrome Remote and access your computers that way. And that is how I access the computers over at the soundstage when I want to sync over Sunday's program and do all that stuff. I use Google Chrome Remote. And there's a reason why I probably will still go with that, but I'm planning on buying a second JetKVM, and I'll explain that in a second, because I have this JetKVM that I have right now set to my Mac Mini, and it works pretty much flawlessly that I can tell, with the exception that it doesn't do audio. So the KVMs don't traditionally transport audio, and by the way, I have audio issues with my Mac Mini on Google Chrome Remote. I'm getting a little wary about all the things that I'm signing up with Google, because Google is a search engine, and Google is a Well, all of their products are free, and so I'm the product, right? So I'm getting a little concerned with how much control I'm giving over to a company like that. And I would prefer to be using hardware to access that stuff. Now, JetKVM now allows me to remote into my Mac Mini, and I can show you this. So it allows me to remote into that machine via IP address, and I've assigned it 77.7. And there is no HDMI signal connected right now, but that's because the monitor is asleep. So I just send it a keyboard command and it wakes it up. And there is my machine. And I could even make it full screen to behave as though it is a computer. So like that, this monitor is that computer. But the keyboard and mouse that's connected to the machine that I'm remoting into it on is now the keyboard and mouse for this KVM. So I can put in the password and bring up all my stuff and close these things. I didn't actually test all this, but there it is. There's the actual desktop. I've cropped it a little bit just for this show's sake, but my toolbars here, I can access all of this stuff, and it's as if I am directly connected. And I have noticed that when it comes to, like, this machine is my video editing machine here at my house, supplied by my employer. And the frame rate on this machine is now over JetKVM is much faster, almost double, I think. It's much faster than if I was remoting into it. So much so that when I was using Google Chrome Remote, I would remote into it on my vMix machine, but then I would use the monitor that was directly plugged into the Mac. I would use the monitor to do my edits because it was far more precise because it was a direct HDMI. Now I don't have to do that. As a matter of fact, now I don't need the monitor for the Mac Mini. And so my Mac Mini is now a headless device that is plugged directly into the JetKVM. And then I can access this over my local network at 77.7. So that's I've assigned that here on my DHCP reservation. So this is great because I can make this machine headless. I can also then access it here at my desk like I normally did, but I can also access it on my laptop downstairs. And the final way to access it is that you can sign up for their cloud service, link your, get an account with them, and then link that device to the cloud service, and then it shows up on their app as well. So you go here to app.jetkvm.com. I know I'm not showing this yet. I got to log in here real quick. Okay, and then when we log in, check this out. I have this labeled as my Mac Mini here in Bonacqua, Tennessee. And if I say connect to KVM, boom, we are up and running. And that is through a web service, which means that when I'm remote or on the road or, I don't know, at NAB and I need to access this, I can just remote in and it behaves as if I'm sitting in front of it. As a matter of fact, you can make it full screen and it looks just like it always does. So it is a little bit slower, obviously, if you're going through the app, but it's still not as slow as it could be. It does only allow you to have one session at a time, which makes sense. But locally, I would use this just like this. This is what I would do. So far, so good. The other thing about this that you need to know with JetKVM in particular is that it's considered a bare metal KVM. Bare metal basically just means that there are security. You need to know where you're putting this and secure it yourself because bare metal does expose it has some vulnerabilities to it, essentially. And I won't get into that too much, but essentially you do need to set up a password for it that's complex for the KVM itself so that if you're in an environment where other people can access it, and other people other than you, and whatever other personalities you have, other people other than you, then you have a security risk. And bare metal basically means that if they can connect to it, they can do anything to it. Install programs, they can get past administrative stuff, they can do all of that. So you got to be pretty particular as to where it is you install this. Now this is installed on my house, but I still have passwords on it because I have guests that come over to the house, and eventually we'll have people coming to the recording studio, and this network will be exposed. And so you can lock it all down. You can do VLANs. You can do all that stuff, or you can just secure the KVM and roll with it that way. I use Splashtop for remote access to over 40 computers. As long as they boot, I can get in. And I can choose whether to leave the audio on the remote computers only, or have the audio on both computers, mine and the remote, or have the remote audio on my computer only. Oh, that's cool. The advantage to JetKVM is that it gives access to computers even if they don't boot. Correct. That's one of the, as I understand it, that's one of the bare metal functions, is that it does. You can buy the expansion card, which is something that Randy had said earlier. That you can force it. You can send it a command to basically force it to wake up. So I don't have that function. I just bought the little unit. I probably will buy one for my NDI PC. I think that's what I'm going to call it now. Not old PC, but NDI PC. Matter of fact, I'm going to change that inside Google Chrome Remote right now. NDI PC. Save. So the NDI machine can be headless. The thing about the NDI machine is I'm running, right now I have this monitor, which is above my other three, that monitor, and a monitor inside my confidence monitor. Okay, so I have a little teleprompter that shows me the output of vMix inside Studio Monitor, so I can watch myself, but make sure I'm framed properly, but also know what it is that I'm showing you. So when I put this up, I can see the KVM. I can see what I'm showing you and my picture as well. So it's a good way to kind of monitor the way that you're doing things. So I have a confidence monitor, and then I have this monitor that are showing the same screen on the NDI computer, just one monitor mirrored. That works fine for the KVM. So if I were to add a KVM, I would eliminate that monitor, and I would access it just here on my web browser, right? 77.8 or whatever it is I want to make it. And that KVM would then serve as a mirrored monitor to the confidence monitor. So then I'd make adjustments here on my screen to the main machine and then close it, and then I could just use the confidence monitor as kind of that output. I don't know if it's going to work for my Macs over at the soundstage. So we have two machines. We have a Mac Studio, and we have a MacBook a MacBook Pro. We have a MacBook Pro over there as a redundant machine for our ProPresenter stuff that happens on Sundays. The issue is that those machines have multiple monitors. ProPresenter requires your main screen and then a secondary monitor that is whatever it is you're showing. So you're running the show on screen 1, and you're showing the show on screen 2, and typically you send that to your projectors or your video switcher or whatever. Well, if I added a KVM to that setup, it would not be a mirror of monitor 1, and I would want it to be. And I'm not entirely sure on a Mac if you are able to set like monitors 1 and 3 mirror monitor 1, and then monitor 2 remain extended. You know what I mean? So I'll have to look into what the options are there, because if that's the case, then I would 100% spend $200 and get those two machines on JetKVMs with bare metal, and then I would be able to send it reboot commands. One of the nice things I like about this, actually, one of the major sellers for JetKVM over Google Chrome Remote, is that if you send a reboot command to one of the computers at the soundstage or to my Mac, you have to physically be at the computer to log back in and to get it to come back on. Whereas with JetKVM, it's taking its own IP address and it's just showing bare metal what's happening on the screen. And so you can remote into the KVM and then control the computer. Whereas with Google Chrome Remote, you have to log in and Chrome has to load, and then you can access the machine. So if you have to reboot the computer, which you do regularly, way more than you think you do, and it always happens when you're not there. It's so annoying. I only go to the soundstage when we record or on Sundays. That's usually the only time I'm there. Sometimes we do installs, equipment upgrade or whatever, but it's someone's home. And so we try not to be there too often, but instead we go there for when it's time to actually do our productions. Well, in that instance, I don't want to have to drive 45 minutes to Brentwood just to turn on a machine, which is the epitome of IT support work, right? Driving hours on end to flip a switch to drive hours on end to come back. That's not cool. So, what is going on here with this? I'm supposed to be streaming over to Keystone, and it's not actually streaming. Anyway, so far what I've found out is that I do quite enjoy using this device. It comes in a little box like this for $100. That's all you get, and you get one little cable and you get the KVM. That's all you get. Very simple design. There's a little QR code getting started, and the device just sits in there, and the cable is inside that little getting started box. But it's cute, this is about the size that it is. Oh, a matter of fact, I did set up a camera which is watching, where are we here? Video inputs. Yeah, so it's watching the KVM. Not a great shot, but here it is. Ooh, do I have this outputs? Do I have this camera? Oh, here we go. Yoink. Okay, so whoa. Oh, I see what I did there. That's not what I thought it was. Anyways, there is the KVM, and that's what the little screen looks like. I haven't figured out what one active means, because I don't think that you can't have more than one connection to it. So I'm not entirely sure what that is, but they do have some settings inside of the KVM that we can have a little look at. Automatically check for updates if you want. I've turned that off because I would like to do that manually. That's my own preference. There are some mouse options, keyboard options. Video, you can change this based on the speed of your internet and all of that. But because I'm on a local network and it's all gigabit all the way through, which, by the way, I think the KVM is only 100 megs. Yeah, the JetKVM is only a 10100. Just there you go. I didn't know that. But you can change the EDID to anything that the Mac has seen. So, I didn't know that you could write a custom file. That's cool. But anyways, you can see here that all of these are 1920 by 1080, which is what I want to use. So 1920 by 1080, and that's just standard. You can change some of the video enhancements if you want for some reason. Here's the hardware. You can put the computer, send it a HDMI to sleep after 90 seconds of inactivity, which is what is going on here. But oh man, I didn't even notice this. Maybe this happened after I custom use USB mass storage, relative mouse positions, absolute, and keyboard options. We're just going to leave that on default. Power saving modes, but then there's no button to click to enable or disable that. Turn off your display after 30 minutes. You can change that to whatever you want. Dim your display whenever. We can dim it after 10. That's fine. Display brightness is on high. Yada, yada, yada. Keep going here. Access. Manage the mode of local access on this device. HTTPS mode, which is an experimental mode right now, apparently. I have connected this to the remote service. That's where you do that. If you're connecting it, you just click on that and say, sign up, basically, and connect your device, which is why I want to get a few of these and put them all in the same account, because then you could just go to the web, right, and click on the one that you want, and they're all right there. Just like Google Chrome Remote. I've shown this many times, but here's Chrome Remote. Here are all those machines. The Mac Mini is still there, but I don't have to. But there's the MacBook Air. Oh, that's mine. The Studio from the soundstage. The MacBook Pro from the soundstage. And then there's also a machine in the booth that we could use one of these on there as well. So it'd be great to kind of get them away from Google, get them local. You can choose a different theme if you want, dark or light. You can create macros on your for your keyboard, which is kind of cool. Network. There's my MAC address. But anyways, here's my DHCP lease information, and this is what I assigned it inside my router, so I know that it's working correctly. And all right, I won't show too much of that. And then some additional kind of advanced stuff that I haven't really looked at, to be honest with you. So yeah, settings is fairly straightforward. It does give you a breakdown as to what your video status is, and it does a running. If you leave this open, it'll give you historical data. So that's kind of nice. We're not seeing any sort of frame drops or whatever. What are we doing here? 60 frames per second. I wonder if I go to the JetKVM app. Let's go ahead and close this. Let me log in here real quick. Ironically enough, with my Google account. Oh, whoops. Sorry, everybody. I didn't realize I wasn't on screen. All right, so now we're here and we say connection status. So now let's see what our frames per second are, because I'm just curious what the what it averages. 60 frames, which is pretty good given that we, for like video editing, 60 frames is awesome. I'll get a little packet loss here. But again, for KVM, that's not really a big deal. Playback delay. Yeah, the only thing I wish it did was sound. That is one of the gripes that I have with Google Chrome Remote. Sometimes the sound works and sometimes it doesn't. I can't figure out what the... I've tried to troubleshoot it. I've tried to go into the extension settings. I've tried to figure it out because I would have loved to be able to remote edit. But I can't figure out how to do it. And so one thing I was hoping that JetKVM would do is send the audio via USB-C, but it does not, which stinks. It doesn't give you the option inside of these settings, sound settings here. It doesn't give you the option to set the JetKVM as an output. So that's a bummer, but it is what it is. Yeah, so, oh well, you can't have it all. I'm sure that there are more expensive KVMs out there. Now, that brings me to a great point. This thing is not expensive in the grand scheme of computers. Like for $100, maybe it was like $110 or whatever after tax, but for $100, man, like I felt like it was a great investment, and a lot of guys are using it, posting about it, and I'm pretty happy with it so far. I haven't had any major issues. Oh, hey, and just for funsies, you can see now. So we got some historical data. This is through the app. We've got a little bit of back and forth here: 59 frames, 61 frames, 60 frames. So it appears that packets are arriving a little bit early, a little bit late. Oh, actually, probably a little bit late. Packet loss: 31 packets. So the more I've done here, the more I've done, the more packets were kind of dropping on a consistent basis. So it's not too bad though. A little bit of jitter. I'm not video switching over this, I'm using it to remote in to do work, like to work in Canva and to work in DaVinci and that sort of thing. And so when I remote in, loading stream. When I remote in like this, and I look at my connection status, and now I'll run it historically here. Close this down. Like I feel like I'm not looking for video game performance. I'm not. Like Randy said, for a server, works great. Matter of fact, and I'm tempted to get one of these and throw it on. Like if you ever need to update a Raspberry Pi, right? Toss it on there. Put it next to a switch. Power up the Raspberry Pi. USB-C to USB-C. HDMI to HDMI, and off you go. And you'd be able to control the whole thing, run all the updates locally, make any changes you need, and then disconnect it and let the Pi run independently. You could have one. Oh, and the other thing that I was looking at last week with you guys on the show was they make you can get a 3D printed mount for them. And so if you have multiples that are in the same rack system, then you could just mount them all together and run the cables through your network rack and, access your servers and your headless computers that way. So one other thing that I will say is the unit itself weighs more than you think it does. It was kind of an interesting... I saw it right before it arrived. I saw somebody do a review on it, and he was like, this thing is like heavy. Like it weighs a lot. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting observation that it's a heavy device. But yeah, if I go back to where is it here? Video input, this guy right here. This is what it looks like. I've just blurred my MAC addresses and stuff. But this is what it looks like sitting in it's on top of the Mac Mini that it runs. And gives you the IP address right on the front. So there's no question about what has been assigned to this thing. And it's very compact, very easy to use, obvious what it is. When you fire it up the first time and it takes an IP address, you just go to that IP address and there it is. It's right there. So it'd be really interesting to link one of these. Here's my next project that I want to do for Keystone, to link one of these to my account and ship it to somebody that I'm remote working with and have them plug it in to their network that has internet, and then it would come up in my stuff and I'd be able to remote in. So if I'm ever doing remote work, which I'm starting to take on a little bit more of that, things are picking up so much so that I've had to get my that was weird. I had to get my CRM updated because I need to track things a little bit more appropriately. Over the past couple of days, I heard like a strange sound. Over the past couple of days, we've been having power fluctuations because I think they're working on the lines around the neighborhoods. But my battery backups, which everything runs on, keep clicking on and clicking off and clicking on and clicking off. So with any luck, I won't lose anything critical here. But everything that is critical runs through the battery backups. Probably won't have much time if we had to switch over to battery. But my internet would go out as well. So there you go. Anyway, onward. So let me put this back down here. Okay, and jump back to the chat. So yeah, I was surprised. Hey, this KVM is cool. I agree. I was surprised at how heavy it was. It was really kind of a cool idea. But yeah, this little device has been really handy to have and has made working on my Mac Mini a lot easier. Like I've made it headless, like I said, which I kind of like. I kind of like not needing a monitor. And now I'm tempted to make the NDI machine headless and get another one. Matter of fact, I pretty much convinced myself that's what I'm going to do. Nick says, hey, FYI, Zoom is building in more and more broadcast tools. Hey, the weight of this is so good. I love it. Agreed. It's such a great little, like it feels like a premium product. That's something that MKBHD, Marquez Brownlee, has said is like when you pick up an expensive product, you want it to feel premium. You don't want it to, like, we got into this phase where it was like everything's glass and everything's lightweight and you never feel like you're carrying it around. Quite frankly, like if I drop $1,000 on a smartphone, I kind of want to know I have it. I don't want to feel like I bought a cheap toy. I want to feel like I bought something that feels premium, and that is definitely the case with these KVMs. Is they definitely feel like a premium product, even though they're only $100. So I really do like that. Let me open my Amazon account here, and Amazon is kicking back into high speed. Yeah, so I bought this on the 20th, which is only 9 days ago. And it works really well. Oh my goodness. Amazon's talking to me. Cancel. I thought that... Oh no, she's not muted. She should be muted. Stop talking. No, I want you to stop talking. Please don't respond. Oh, she didn't respond. She shut down. All right, so I need to turn that to mute because I didn't realize that the microphone was working on that one. I don't really like listening devices necessarily around my house. I do have a few, but like I said, I'm kind of giving up on these giant search engines and corporations that have listening devices sitting around my house. So not a big fan of that. And I speak so poorly. I treat them so poorly, and so it'd be best just to not talk to me. Anyways, so I really like this JetKVM device so far. I haven't had too many hangups with it. I want to kind of push the configurations of it now. I actually think that the question I have is more about the Mac side. I could set it up that way here, I guess. Let's poke around inside of my current KVM real quick, because I do run ProPresenter on this machine. And so if I do this one, yeah, you guys can see this. Okay, so let's hide the stats and let's go into this. Let's open ProPresenter. And yeah, I know. Okay, so this, I haven't used this in a long time because, oh my gosh. CCLI, you need to get your act together. I'm so sick and tired of signing in my credentials every time. It's like once a month. You shouldn't sign me out. Keep me signed in. I am an active, anyway, sorry, rant over. All right, so let's see here. We have screens, right? Devices, inputs, screens. This is what I'm looking for. We want to configure screens. Now you can create pseudo screens inside of ProPresenter. So this is the main screen. And this is the screen number 2, which is actually sending alpha. Screen number 1 is the output. The reason why it says decimator is because that's the way it's configured at the soundstage. So I uploaded the configuration to the screens at the soundstage, and I downloaded them here on my Mac so that when I upload them here, it doesn't break them over there. But anyway, so we have dueling screens like this. The question becomes, here, if I connect a secondary monitor, it's going to show, right? And then if I connect a third monitor via USB-C, am I able, this is what I don't know, am I able to mirror 2 screens as the same and one? Because I want screens 1, my monitor, and I want screen 1, my monitor, and I want a USB-C screen 3 to mirror each other. And then I want screen 2 to be the output of ProPresenter. So I don't know if I'm able to do that, or if I'm only allowed to, all extended or all mirrored. I don't know, which would be annoying. If I go here and I add a screen, so this screen, can I copy this again? Grouped. What is that? Oh. A mirror. Outputs. Maybe I might be able to do this inside ProPresenter. That's interesting. Okay. So I'm going to take on Sunday. The the next time I'm going to be there is Sunday. I have this audio monitor project that I need to do on Sunday because I took the video assist away. Well, it's in my bag. I'll bring it back. But I took it away from my audio engineer, so he needs something to visually see the audio levels. He could technically look at my screen, but I don't want him having to lean over all the time to do that. So I got to get that done before service starts. But then after service, if I took my USB-C to HDMI cable, I could even take my KVM because it's in DHCP right now. The issue there is it disconnects my unit here. Or if I buy another one, I guess. And then I could test my theory out to see if even if the Mac adds it as a third screen, then I could mirror, right? Screen 3. Cancel. Maybe that's not what I think it is. Single monitor. Okay. Single. Decklink Duo. Yeah, because if you change it here, then it doesn't. So if you assign the same output to two screens, then it doesn't. It pulls it away from the original one. But if I mirrored screens, I don't know what this is. Output 2. Oh, you know what I could do, I guess? I could attach my... You know what? I'll be right back. I have an idea that we should... Yeah, I'll be right back. Hang on here. Let me see. Can I... Where are we here? Does this work? Give me a second. Because I wasn't planning on... All right, give me a second here. Yeah, I think this will work. Okay. Let's see now what the deal is here, because I do have the ability to plug in another monitor. What does that say? Another USB-C to connect an external display. Use another port on this Mac. Okay. Well, the only other USB-C is on the back. I'm not sure that I've... All right, well, I'll go fish around for it for a second. Give me a second. Okay. Well, that is going to be next week's project because it's going to involve me taking the whole sides off of the panel and everything, and I'm not going to do that today. So that will be an interesting little side trip that we're going to have to take next week. Yeah, I'm coming through here. So I will report back. I might even, if I can figure out a way to get this to respond to the extra monitor, because you could just mirror. You have to mirror it on the system settings, though. You can't do it inside of here because that would only show ProPresenter. So you can't do that. But if we could get the other monitor to show up here, then we can see if we can, I don't know, duplicate displays or whatever. I'm really going to have to probably take it over to the soundstage and test it. Because I almost need 3 monitors, right? Like I need to plug in, the KVM is plugged into one, and then I need 2 more displays in order to actually test this. So I'm going to have to do this at the soundstage. So that'll be the plan. I'll report back and see if this is a viable option. If it is, I probably will recommend a move to it because I do like these JetKVMs a fair bit. They're very responsive. They seem to, we got excellent internet over there in Brentwood, so that won't be an issue at all. It'll be great. So with any luck, that is what we will be able to do in the next couple of weeks. And that would be a very good upgrade for that space. For $300, getting all 3 machines on the, on the system. Anyway, last week I did go over to the soundstage before the weather hit and installed a couple more Dante belt packs and kind of got everything prepped. We wanted to clean it all up, so I installed another Netgear switch. I did report on that last week, but we did get kind of things cleaned up last week and then working a lot better, so hopefully they're still up and running. But yeah, we're kind of moving along over there as well, so that's been good to kind of tidy things up. We're talking about next steps essentially at the soundstage. What next projects do we want to try and take on as 2026 kicks off? So that'll be exciting. The other thing I will say is with Keystone AV, I told you a little bit a while ago that I've received my certifications through Netgear for their AV line stuff, and I've had a couple of conversations with people to kind of take on some work. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think that'll be a good step in the right direction. Start to get some reoccurring exposure to getting networks up and running and all that stuff. So that'll be a really fun way to work with my company, Keystone, and to kind of get some exposure to some of these places around. So there's a project coming up, I think in Atlanta, that I'm going to get involved in, and then we're going to see from there. So I got a meeting tomorrow to kind of define some of that. In the meantime, though, that's, if you have questions or you want to, if you have networking stuff that you, like a project that you want to kind of approach, especially about networks, especially about Netgear, I'm all ears. I can assist in that sort of thing. If we get into a full-on hour call, I have an hourly rate. But other than that, if you just have general questions as to, hey, do you do this? Could you help me here? Then for sure, reach out to me over at hello@KeystoneAVNetworks.com. That's basically my sales email. It will go to me, and I'll be able to communicate with you through there. So reach out whenever you get a chance. If you have questions about that sort of stuff, always happy to have a chat about your project and what you've got going on. Of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I would appreciate it. Evidently, I am streaming over. Am I? I'm apparently streaming over to Keystone, but so Keystone AV Networks is a Google account, but it's not pulling up on this computer, so I'm not really too sure what the deal is there. Let me see if I can find it on my subscriptions. Maybe not. Maybe I'm not working. Keystone AV Networks. It does not show that I'm currently live, so something's wrong. On here, it says you have an excellent stream health, but then it doesn't actually show that it's streaming. So, how strange. Oh well. Maybe I will stop and start it. Not that the show is going to go too much longer, but I can stop and start that second one and see if it kicks off. But yeah, so there's some things on the horizon with Keystone, which is pretty exciting. I need to get on a call with Netgear, because I'm a drive partner with them, and so I can sell their switches, and so I want to kind of get into figuring out what that looks like and how to legally do it, and being a contender, and we'll see, because that little piece will also help me out kind of going forward. But I need to get on a call with them to kind of navigate what that looks like, and I need to get on a call. I'm a partner with Broadfield Distributing, who have a vast array, a catalog of products that they sell, so I can order products through them as well. So that's kind of a cool little resource that I have. But I need to get on a call with them too and like really figure out Broadfield, really figure out what that all entails, and we shall see. But they have a lot of cameras. They sell bird dog stuff, as you know, as I know. Let me see what KVMs they have. Oh, wow. Turtle. Transmit and receive. Turtle has a KVM? I didn't know that. I guess I didn't really ever look. Turtle has a 4K USB-C transmit. This is... Okay, what's the back look like? Okay. USB-C. Oh, boy. Okay. Well... That's kind of a cool idea. All right. Well, anyway, I'll venture down that path. I'm not prepared to talk about any of that right now anyway, so I'll venture down that path. And we'll get back to you. Let's see what... all right, I'm going to close this down because it's not doing anything. And I appreciate you guys coming along. Thanks for hanging out. I have work to do because we're actually going to be at the soundstage on Sunday, which hasn't happened since 3 Sundays ago. So pretty excited that's going to be live. Although most of the production will be done via video because we have a lot of videos for Sunday, which is fine. But yeah, we're looking forward to being in seat once again, which is kind of just given the storm on Sunday, but my coworker was in Hawaii that week before, so conveniently we had already planned on doing service via pre-record, so we didn't have to worry about that for Sunday. But I told my team, I was like, look, if we had heard on Friday that it was coming, we probably would have been recording and planning on a pre-record service. And I would have worked all Friday night and Saturday morning to get it ready to loaded. And they do take me quite a while because you also have to encode it a specific way so Resi will take it. So it took a little while to kind of get things sorted out, but thankfully we are we're in a good position, and Sunday should go off as long as I get all the videos in from our members. So we'll see. So I'm going to bid you fair adieu and check in next week. I don't know what I'm going to talk about next week. More KVM testing, that's for sure, is going to have to happen between now and then to see if it would work for our studio machines, because if it does, then I'm a bigger fan of doing that than continuing on with Google Chrome Remote. I might actually uninstall Remote from my machine because I don't need it anymore because of the KVM. So I am going to delete that Mac Mini from my list, and slowly but surely we'll maybe get a few more. I'm going to look into getting another one of these things for my NDI machine, and then I could even eliminate a monitor, which would be great. So looking forward to that. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. Thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you. And thanks for keeping the chat alive. Always fun to have you along. You have a great day too, Angus. Good luck at your show. I guess you're underway. So have a good one. And we will see you all next week. Hopefully same time, same place, right here on YouTube. Otherwise, reach out to me. Oh, am I still running? No. Okay. Otherwise, reach out to me over at hello@KeystoneAVNetworks.com. We'll see you guys in the next one. Cheerio. Bye, guys.